Hey there. Have you ever done something and thought this is going to be great? And I made a mistake. Oh no. And then it turned out okay. But, in the beginning, it didn't look like that. So I want to share with you and I want to help you have this in your memory that what happens, even when it doesn't look right, can still be the best thing for you. Hi, I'm Annie, your trusted tour guide for life's meaningful milestones. And today I want to introduce you to a little friend of mine. Ready? This is, I don't know if he's got a name. He probably does. But look at him. So this little guy is part of what I was saying earlier. When you go to make something, it doesn't turn out quite right, and then it ends up being wonderful. So yesterday was the first day of the Lunar New Year, which is part of the Chinese zodiac, and this year is the fire horse. Well, this little guy actually came all the way from China, like a lot of things do. But anyway, the story of him is that a worker in a factory in China sewed his smile upside down, and a few people sent out pictures from the factory and people loved it. So they decided, even though it was a mistake, to try and sell it. Well, didn't he go viral? So viral that some crazy lady in North America bought 7 of them for her family. I'll explain that later. Anyway, he's a cutie. But the point is that regardless of whether it's China or whether it's North America or anywhere in the world, one of the most human experiences is to make mistakes. But what he symbolizes, and what so many wonderful things, there's a boll weevil statue, look it up. Sometimes the things that happen end up being the best things. You know what really struck me, I'm going to put my little friend down now, although he is adorable. Anyway, I want to share from a parenting perspective how I feel about this, because like my mom, I was so dedicated that they never had crying horse days, that everything was beautiful and perfect and it looked good for the neighbors and it looked good for us. And looking at this little crying horse and a lot of lessons along the way, it reminded me, it is not our job as parents to ensure that every day is a smiling horse day. It is our job as parents that on crying horse days, our kids know how to accept it, manage it, and move on. So, that's just one of the things that I've learned from the crying horse, and I'm looking forward to the year of the fire horse. Another thing I've learned, and I've been a lifelong student. I have taken certifications, formal education, therapy, experience, all of those things. And years ago, I had a teacher say to me, and it's so important, actually, it was a therapist, say to me, you know what creates a 50-year marriage or relationship? It's not romantic love. Perfect parenting is not perfect love. It's acceptance. And that's really what the crying horse and this whole theory is about, is acceptance of who you are, acceptance of the people around you, and coming back to the who you are. This is a big thing for me that I've had to learn over time. All my flaws, all my freckles, need to lose weight, need to do this, need to do that, don't have this, don't have that, whatever. You know what? The joy of doing all this YouTube stuff and social media is truly being able to be alone with myself and committed to sharing who I am. And I've learned to like myself. It's wonderful. All right. From a project management standpoint, and I always like to kind of take things in that direction. What would I have done? Can you imagine what it was like in that factory? Because they don't make a couple of things in China. They make a lot of things. So can you imagine somebody who's worried about losing a job, embarrassment, upset, slow production, on and on. And there you go. Someone had the courage to say, hey, you know what? I think people like it. The young people in China took it to represent how they feel in the workplace. and it's sold like crazy. It's viral all over the world. It's amazing. But from, again, to go back from the project management standpoint, it is, these are road posts, if you will, or they are check marks. Checkpoints is the word I'm looking for, where you stop and you say, is this right? Okay, this doesn't look like we planned at this point, but is this an opportunity? And you navigate from there. You know, it's always a matter in life and elsewhere to stop. Okay, this may not look like I expected it to or wanted it to, but hey, where do we go from here? And can we make this a win? So that's what my little horse represents as well. So, you know, what I want you to think about this week is, what is your crying horse? Do you have something you're trying to smooth over that could actually be the answer? I'm sure you've heard the term, you know, the difficulty is the way, the adversity is the way. There's a book about that. And, you know, lots of times it's true. So think about, do I have a crying horse that I could just accept and that I could just use in my life? You know, because you don't have to embrace the difficulty of a crying horse, but you do need to accept it. That's where peace and happiness live, and acceptance. And see how you can work with it. Because what I want you to remember, yes, there are formative years when you're a kid, when your parents have an influence. When you're a parent, you have an influence on someone else's formative years. But here's the secret. The true secret. They're all formative years. The crying horses help you in all of your formative years. I'm going to get t-shirts that says they're all formative years, because they are. And really, at the end of it all, what else is there but forming who you are, accepting who you are, and helping others do the same? So I'll be right here next Wednesday for some more wisdom. And in the meantime, keep walking toward what matters. Bye.